Hello, my name is Diego Fernandez Maldonado. I am a lawyer from el Servicio de Migrantes from Spain, and alongside my colleague Maria Vieira, who worked with me from Madrid, and my colleague Maria Suli, who is an interpreter, we work together in the case of Khaled and Ali. They are two members of a family of 7 siblings and 2 parents, originally from Syria. We met Khaled and Ali in Melilla. They arrived by themselves as unaccompanied minors due to the fact that they arrived with an uncle who had a kafala to have the guardianship recognized, but that kafala was not recognized by the Spanish government. So initially in Spain, in Melilla specifically, they were recognized as unaccompanied minors. To arrive to Melilla, they exited Syria and did a 2-month travel through several Middle Eastern and North African countries, including Sudan, Libya, Algeria, and Morocco. Once in Melilla, they arrived to our office once their uncle was not present already in Spain, since the uncle had exited Melilla and traveled to Germany to be with his nuclear family. They arrived to our office, which Eamon, the interpreter, and I received them. We had initially, of course, difficulties of the language in which our interpreter was able to mitigate that issue, but we also encountered 2 adolescent boys who were affected by the journey, affected by the fact that they were in a center for minors, in which they were a clear minority, surrounded by Moroccans, and were having a real hard time there. They were affected by the pressure of their family, and so that they could continue their journey towards Europe, and they were also affected by the mistrust on authorities, administration, third parties. They were receiving a lot of different directions of what to do, where to go, and of course they felt stuck in Medina. We had several difficulties in terms of communication. First of all, we had the cultural gap. Of course, I'm a Spanish national, my interpreter is Moroccan national, and we had that cultural gap with their necessities, the way of looking at life, the pressure they have from their family, so we had to try to mitigate that different points of view. At the same time, we had that age gap. We were speaking to adolescents, so we were trying to gain bit by bit the trust in order to be able to accompany them. We had the issue as well of containing the high expectancies of journey. They wanted to move quickly, they wanted to have an immediate solution, they wanted to exit the minor center as soon as possible, and we had to confront that issue both with them and with their family, with which we also had communications through the telephone. Initially, in Melilla, we tried to look at the solution with other parties, with administrations, with UNHCR, and with other NGOs, and we also tried to, while the solution was not possible, try to accompany them to create a safe place in which they could come and speak with us, just have a good time outside of the minor center, and we also tried to mitigate any issue they could have in the day-to-day preoccupations. After some months, UNHCR was able to transfer them to another minor center in the region of the Canary Islands. But in the transfer from Melilla to the Canary Islands, they had to change planes in Madrid, and due to the fact that they perceived that the Canary Islands was another far region that was not in the interest of one of their family, they decided to not take the plane to the Canary Islands and stay in Madrid. That is where my colleague Maria Vieira from Madrid started to provide her services as a lawyer. And the two unaccompanied minors were entered a minor center in Madrid, and Maria continued with the accompaniment to try to be with them, to try to intermediate with a new lawyer that was going to take their case, with which they did not know, and also to intermediate with the family that also continued with the pressure of making them go to Germany, regardless of the fact that they may have legal issues. So during these months, we also had a lot of work of accompaniment to try to help them sustain the conditions of the minor center in Madrid, which also presented challenges for them, and to finally make them see that the best way for them to reunite with the family was to wait in Spain, wait in Madrid, which finally happened a few days before. So our most important task in this case was accompaniment, understand their issues, be with them, try to gain their trust, and try to make them spend their time in the best possible way. So it was a very difficult task because we had to speak with several people, including their family, which has a very different point of view and did not know the legal issues of the European system. But now they are finally united, and we are very happy and joyful that they are a case with a happy ending. In a certain point, while assisting Khalid and Ali, both from Madrid and from Melilla, while they were already in Madrid, assisted directly by my colleague Maria Vieira and the lawyer that was assisting them from another organization, we realized that while we were constantly in communication with them on one point and with their parents on the other, even though we transmitted a message that the best case scenario was for them to wait until they were recognized as refugees and then extend that refugee status to the rest of the family, even though the adolescents, the kids, understood that, once they spoke with their parents, that message got a bit different, and they received the mixed message from their family that they should travel with their uncle to Germany. So we recognize that even though we continue to express our concerns about that issue, the message did not reach the family, and the adolescents kept having those concerns. So what we decided on one point is to have a Skype session in which the two adolescents, Ali and Khaled, Maria and the other lawyer would be present on one point in Madrid. Myself and Iman Aliashuli, the interpreter, would be present from Melilla, and the two parents would be present from Damascus, Syria. In this Skype session, we tried to transmit to the parents the fact that having the uncle come to Madrid to pick up Khalid and Ali and take them to Germany would have several risks. On one point, the kafala, the guardianship document, would represent the risk of being recognized in other EU countries, because in Spain it had not been recognized, and that would represent a threat to the fact that if they were apprehended, the minors could be again recognized and unaccompanied and stayed in another country. On the other hand, if they did reach Germany and apply for asylum there, the Dublin regulation would also be a threat for them, and they could be returned to Spain. So after that session, we believe it represented a big impact in how we communicated the message to the whole family, and we were able to keep Khalid and Ali in Madrid until the family has recently come